It's because women expect men to change over the course of a relationship. And if a man starts off all sweet and nice, she's going to be concerned that he's going to go dark as time goes on. So it's actually preferable that he starts off as a bit of a scoundrel, because then the transformation that she can effect is using her femininity to civilize him. That's the change she wants, and that's the transformation at the heart of all female fantasies. And so if you're a young man and you have a light side to you and a dark side to you, and you're wondering which one of these to present to women at the beginning of the dating process, my advice to you would be to lean more into your darker side. The reason for that is because it's going to be more attractive to women. And I understand how bad it sounds, and that there's going to be the temptation for like toxic men to hear this advice and be like, oh great, this is giving me permission to be abusive. It's not like that. If you watch to the end of this video, you'll understand why I give this advice. So I've said something that sounds a little bit strange. Men should lean into their dark side when they're first interacting with a woman. Let's start off with, well, why not just be nice? You know, women often say, I just want to find a nice guy. Can't we take them at their word? No. If you think that you can trust a woman's words when she's expressing her preferences in dating and relationships, then you obviously haven't watched enough of this channel. Women do not have a huge amount of self-awareness when it comes to what they actually find attractive in men, and even if they do, women are apt to be dishonest about that. Suffice to say, women do not find nice guys desirable. They find them creepy, they find them untrustworthy. And it's not just the lack of leadership and confidence and masculinity that makes nice guys unattractive. It's that deep down, women don't trust them, and they shouldn't. The amount of guys out there who, as a strategy, pretend to be all sweet and nice just to sort of trick the woman into believing that he's different than he truly is as a strategy to get into her pants is massive. Women have a right to be suspicious. I think that that has in part contributed to what we see at the moment, which is this phenomenon of women preferring to date really cocky, arrogant, jerk sort of men, because there's that perception, ironic as it may be, that those guys are actually more honest. He might be arrogant and rude, but at least he's being authentic, and that's actually more trustworthy than the guy who's pretending to be nice. Now let's walk this back slightly, because it's not as though women don't want men to have any nice qualities. If a man is compassionate and loyal and, protective, those are desirable characteristics for a man to have. But when it comes to female attraction, you've got to understand women view that stuff more as a luxury rather than a necessity. Being compassionate and emotionally available does not generate raw sexual attraction from women. It just doesn't. For that, you need confidence and masculinity. She wants to see strength, genuine manly strength. Now, he can be sweet and kind too. That's great. That's a bonus. But unless he's genuinely tough in a masculine way, the kind of guy who can get shit done and protect her if dangers are coming for her, someone she can really depend upon, at a raw sexual level, he's not going to pass the first test, and she's not going to date him. So then you might ask, well, if she's capable of appreciating nice guy qualities, but she also wants a man who can be tough and a bit of a prick when necessary, wouldn't it make sense to present yourself as balanced, give her both sides of you at the beginning of a relationship? It's a great question. And the answer to that, of course, is yes, you can do that. But the reason why I advise young men to lean slightly more into their darker side is because I think that what most modern men perceive of inside themselves as being balanced is actually perceived by women as weakness. And so I just err on the side of caution. I say lean more into the darker side than you probably think is necessary. I know it's sad, and it's a depressing indictment of the cultural context that we find ourselves in, but you've got to look at how masculinity is viewed these days. Most men are absolutely petrified of being perceived to be toxic or patriarchal in any way. And so men are just tripping over themselves to be sensitive and emotionally available and highlight all their nice guy qualities and show women that they're feminist allies. And the truth is that because women have so many options in the dating market, so many men are giving them attention and validation. If you genuinely want to stand out as a unique, viable option, it pays to be a little bit darker, at least you're different then. When you first do this, it can be a little bit scary, because if you're just a little bit more unfiltered in your thoughts, a little bit more cocky, a little bit more macho, a little bit more assertive, your first thought might be, everybody's going to hate this in me. They're not going to accept it. People are going to shun me. Women are going to think I'm an awful person. But if you can just get past those internal fears and actually experiment with it, just give it a try, you might be surprised at how well people actually respond to that kind of masculinity. And also be aware that women like a little bit of a challenge. They don't mind chasing something because there's this process of backwards rationalization that takes place where if she is pursuing something and she puts a lot of effort into getting it, then she's going to believe that all of that effort was important and necessary because you're such a great guy. You're a reward worth pursuing. When a woman's had to work hard for something, that's what convinces her that what she has finally achieved was something valuable. But if a man just makes himself totally available to her at the beginning, he's a nice guy, he's a pushover, then she's not likely to value that. Women don't have that sexual attraction for the really available guy. You'll hear women say, well, he was really nice, but he was a bit boring. There was no excitement. There was no spark or chemistry. You've ever heard women say that? What they're referring to there is there's no friction. He's just an open page for her to write upon. But without that friction, there's no challenge, there's no chase, there's no sexual chemistry. Understand that women are using their relationships with men in order to experience the efficacy of their own femininity. They want to be validated in their womanhood, in the strength of their feminine powers. And the best way for her to see that is her ability to attract and then ultimately transform a man. With a ready-made partner, what's the point? Where's the challenge? Where's the opportunity for her to use her feminine talents to change him, to improve him, to smooth out all his rough edges? But a villain, the sort of man that romance novels are written about, the devil, the scoundrel, someone who has obvious strength and masculinity but is wild and untamed, he is the perfect man to receive her feminine gifts. He's the challenge that she wants, to transform a man like that from a villain into a hero. At this point, I'm going to read you some quotes from this book, Dangerous Men and Adventurous Women. This book is a series of essays written by female novelists, women who write romance novels, which, by the way, make up 35% of all book sales. So this is not a small genre. Anyway, this series of essays, what it is it's explaining the psychology of romance novels. It's explaining why this appeals so much to women. What are the themes that are being explored? Why does this hit right to the heart of femininity? Listen to this description of the sort of man that is written about in these romance novels, and you see what I'm talking about. He is a worthy opponent, a mythic beast who is her heroic complement. He has been variously described as a devil, a demon, a tiger, a hawk, a pirate, a bandit, a hunter, a warrior. He is definitely not the boy next door. She will enjoy the combat, relish the danger, and perhaps most intriguing, exercise the full range of her options. This, by the way, is one of the true joys of romance fantasies. The reader knows that in the conflict between hero and heroine, the heroine will never have to pull her punches. She won't have to worry, as many modern women do in their everyday lives, about being too assertive, too aggressive, too verbally direct, because the hero is as strong as she is. There's a reason why romance novels are not written about nice, pushover, boring guys. Women don't want them. Women are excited by the devil, the outlaw, the beast. And it's not because she's masochistic and because she wants to be abused by such a man. It's because she wants to release the full power of her femininity, and she wants to release it into a man who's going to be strong enough to actually receive that from her so that the two of them can compete in conflict. They can do battle. She wants a man who's going to be the ultimate challenge for her full feminine strength. And this next part is really important to note because the transformation that is effected in romance novels is not the complete feminization of the male, not at all. He still retains his strength, his power, and his masculinity. It's just now in a healthier form. Remember that women like masculinity. That's what they find attractive. So the point isn't to remove it, it's to tame it somewhat, to harness it and now make it work for her, in her favor. Let me read again from the book. It is true that heroes in the books undergo a significant change in the course of the story, often being tamed or gentled or taught to love, but they do not lose any of their masculine strength in the process. The stories make it clear that women value the warrior qualities in men, as well as their protective, nurturing qualities. The trick is to teach the hero to integrate and control the two warring halves of himself so that he can function as a reliable mate and as a father. The journey of the novel, many writers say, is the civilization of the male. This is what women want. This is what they crave. They want to feel the full power of their femininity in civilizing a male. And so do you see why my advice is what it is, that I don't encourage men to present themselves at the beginning as someone who's already fully civilized? Lean a bit more into your darker side. Make yourself a bit less available. Be a bit more sure of yourself. Show her that you're a challenge. Also demonstrate that you have positive, masculine, desirable qualities so that she knows that you're a challenge that's worth taking up. And you see, when I say lean into your darker side, like, what does that mean, your darker side? See, I'm borrowing from the language of these romance novels because it really gets the point across. You know, there's that endless theme, light versus dark. But I don't mean darker in terms of evil. If she wants to civilize you, well, think to yourself, what is the opposite of someone who's civilized? It's not evil. It's more like wild and untamed. That's more what you're shooting for. You play by your own rules. You've got your own plans. You're looking out for your own best interests. You're not rushing to settle down because you like expressing your own masculinity for your own personal selfish benefit. You like being free. And this isn't really advice about how to get a girlfriend necessarily. What I just said then, I would encourage all men to live like that anyway. Don't rush to dedicate your life to another person. If you're single, try and enjoy it. You're a man. You've got this precious life. Live it up. Try and be as happy as you possibly can as an individual man. Don't be too eager to settle down because in the first instance, that eagerness, it reeks of desperation, and desperation leads to ignoring red flags, making bad choices, partnering with the wrong woman, and then just a lifetime of misery and unhappiness. My advice for all men is to try and make yourself as happy as you possibly can as a single man, and only change those circumstances if you're presented with a high quality woman and you sincerely believe that you're going to be happier partnering with her. Please do not interpret this video as though I am encouraging men to be tamed by women, as though it's men's duty to live their lives for the sake of women or any nonsense like that. Absolutely not. It's your life. You go live it for your own benefit. As long as you're not harming other people, go nuts, have fun. This is important, so I'm just going to reiterate it. Make yourself as happy as you possibly can as a single individual man, and only change those circumstances and enter into a relationship if you're presented with a woman who's high quality enough that you sincerely believe that being in a relationship with her is going to make you even happier. So you see, you're not doing it for her benefit. It's not a favor. It's still you looking out for your own selfish interests. It's just that now you want to be part of a partnership, a couple. It's that kind of healthy selfishness in what I am referring to as leaning a little bit more into your darker side. Because when you've got those high standards for what is required for a woman to be in a relationship with you, you present yourself as a challenge, and that's what women find attractive. That way, she can be sure that if she has earned the privilege of dating you in a long-term capacity, she knows that she has thoroughly earned that, which is what she wants. Does having a high IQ remove a woman's instincts? The answer is no, but kind of. This is the topic of my latest Patreon video, and I go through a number of female instincts and what the impact of having a high level of intelligence has on those instincts and how to relate as a man to a girlfriend who's going through that whole mess. It's a really interesting video. It's the latest topic, my Patreon. If you want to see that, just go and sign up on my Patreon. It's just a $5 a month subscription. You get instant access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. It's a wonderful way to support the creator. We have an amazing community over there. I'd love to have you be a part of it.